Welcome to all. Path to Anandam Gita series. Freedom from pains and miseries. To happy, healthy, and peaceful life. Based upon 108 mantras to awaken your soul. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita. My questions and God's answers. Today, it is a series number 100. Since we started in 2022, January 2nd, experience guidance within. Pranam to Guruji, Hariharji Maharaj for his blessings, guiding, helping to put all together. We are all together because of his blessings and Lord Krishna's blessings. I'm Satya Kalra, your host and founder of Path to Anandam, blissful life. And whatever you see here is all put together on the with the guidance of Swami Hariharji Maharaj, his motivations. And today's series is how to experience mystic power of Supreme. And focus is on chapter 18, verse 61 and 62. And presentation will be, where does God live and what does he do? How to experience his power and grace. What are the benefits of doing it? And how can we apply in our life and practice it? And what kind of homework can we do? Our sankalpa, my sankalpa. God resides in my heart. Meditation and question and answers. So let's start our session by praying to Bhagwan Krishna Ji. Just like Arjuna did when he was confused, depressed, could not tell the difference between good and bad, what to do, what not to do. And then he said, Najotasiti Govindam, I will not perform my duty of getting engaged in this Dharma Kshetra, because he thought it was Kurukshetra, only the field of action. So let's all pray together, very humbly and surrendering, and seek for his guidance. Karpanye dosho pahat swabhavaha prashyami tvam dharma sammood chetaha yachase isyani nishchitam bruhitan me shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapanyam shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapanyam. Arjuna said, my heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all of my composure and my mind is confused about my duty, dharma. I am requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me, not what am I asking. I am your disciple. I surrender to you. please instruct me. And with Arjuna's request, very humbly, with the sense of surrender, Lord Krishna blessed him with this infinite wisdom, everlasting wisdom, and took him on that blissful journey where his confusion was removed, his heart was purified, he transformed himself, uplifted his conscious level, and who could see the difference between Kurukshetra and Dharmakshetra. And then he said, Karishye vachanam tav. So let's all embark on that blissful journey, which Hariharji Maharaj put it in such a simple way, in many different quotations, which I feel honored to put it together. He said, Gita is a step-by-step spiritual instruction manual to know God's ultimate power and his Leela and attain everlasting freedom from miseries and pains, moksha, liberation. It has many terminologies, but the ultimate meaning is experience that eternal happiness, peace within, oneness with supreme power. In other words, realize, who am I? I am no different than Chit Ananda. My chitta is filled with the supreme Satya, that I am that blissful entity, part of that supreme power. And not just while we die, but while we are living in this material world, and of course, beyond. So let's all go on that blissful journey to our highest conscious level by practicing Bhagavad Gita's teachings, where Lord Krishna spoke 574 verses out of 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita. First 6 chapters, he was teaching how should we perform our duty for the benefit of all, with love, compassion, and wisdom. And then in the following 6 chapters, through Bhakti Yoga, how to express our love to this Mother Nature, to everyone, including ourselves, and do every activity filled with love and compassion. And then finally, Jnana Yoga, to understand that God is not just external entity, but it is Navguna, it is the non-duality part, that I am no different than God. That's the wisdom that my true nature is Chit Ananda. So that's where now the Jnana Yoga comes. And how we learn it? In chapter 18 now, Moksha Sannyas Yoga. So by little, we are removing the ignorance. Just like onion, each layer of the ignorance is being removed. And now we are in the essence of who we are. And this is a summary we are now summarizing the whole Bhagavad Gita. So Moksha Sannyas Yoga, I always call it, now we are on the final lesson, or this is a final ultimate summary of Bhagavad Gita, where we are going to graduate, getting the PhD. PhD means understand, who am I? And how can I contribute to the society? being a part of this supreme power. So union with God, liberation, getting moksha through the path of renunciation and surrender. Sannyasa, which we spoke about, and then surrender it. Because Bhagavad Gita is a royal road to liberation, which takes us from miseries to moksha. And again, as I said, this is a summary where here comes a Vishad. Arjuna's Vishad and our confusion as well. And by summarizing this whole Bhagavad Gita in 7 steps, now we are at the step of surrendering and reaching to attaining that prasad, ultimate freedom from miseries and pains. So our today's verse is based upon the previous sessions where God has declared that He was the creator. He is the creator. In chapter 13, the whole chapter is about creation and creator. And previously, he also mentioned that he is the creator. Not only he is the creator, he is the operator. He guides us how to perform our duty. And now he's telling us, though he has been guiding us, but now here he's summarizing, he's telling us in a very different way that he is our guide and he's guiding us. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hirdesh Arjuna tishtati brahmyani sarva bhutani yantra rurani maya. Means, O Arjuna, the Supreme Lord resides in the causal heart, the inner psychic of all living beings, causing them to revolve according to their karmas by his mystic power, Maya, illusive power, as if they are mounted on a machine. Very powerful verse. Gita has so many jewels. I mean, every word of Gita is jewel. But this, he reminds us again, though he has mentioned before that he is the creator, in chapter 9, verse 8, where he declares that based on your previous lives, based on cause and effect of your karmas, which were based on the gunas, because we perform our activities according to our nature, our swabhava, our gunas, that he is a designer. He takes every single situation from our previous lives, like a puzzle, one piece from one life, another piece of puzzle from other lives, and then he puts this body together because he prepared this syllabus for us for this lifetime to attain our true nature. So he takes, here you can see it, each piece of puzzle. And I want to share a small story with you, which I have shared it, I believe, before, but I just want to, because this reminds me that at one time, we all remember that Ramanandji Prasad used to have the session every month, personal sessions in people's homes, and he used to assign the verses to present in the following session. And then he also mentioned me to present this verse, chapter 9, verse 8. And I just did not understand that. So I thought I will tell him to give me the following verses who he assigned to somebody else, because I could understand, because unless I understand, I experience it, I cannot speak about it. So I was about to send him the email to please assign me another verse. And I forgot. And then the only 1 week was left. And I just remember that again. And again, the same question that it says, Prakriti Swabhavam Brashtam Visrami Puna Puna. I design the life for you over and over based on your cause and effect of your karmas. And that's a very deep meaning of it. But what happened, I was driving the car, I came by at our gate, I pressed the button to open the gate, it opened, and my car went half the way to the gate and it stopped. And all of a sudden, something happened to me. I didn't realize what was happening. After 20 minutes, I opened my eyes. I came back and I could sense my body. And what I saw during that 20 minutes, my 18 lives, previous lives, which were put together to represent my current life. And those are the karmas I have to wash off. I have to work. So he designed my life, and that's where I put this 18 pieces of puzzles to create a body. So basically this represented my own body. Here, my own karmas, my own previous lives. So it happened, we all experience those kind of situations. Sometimes we realize, we don't realize it. But what this verse is saying to us, that he created us, he designed us, he created us. He is operating our life. And now he's again reminding us in a different ways. He's guiding us. He's saying that Brahman, that he says, I live in everybody's heart, but at the same time, Brahman, I operates. He controls, oversees everyone's life. What does it mean? He says that Brahman Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rurani Maya. What does this Yantra Rurani? Yantra Rurani means this body. I operate your body, moving you around and around. In other words, he controls, he oversees everyone's life, our life. That how every piece of the puzzle is put together and what we do with this puzzle, with life. He says, based on your karmas, based on our karmas, he guides us. And here he goes, like, nice analogy I can give you, how our body revolves and how he puts us from one karma to another karma based on that, how our cycle of body keeps going on and on. And here he says, just like imagine a merry-go-around. You know how we can keep going around and around and around and from one life to another life? Like here, we are sitting in one seat and then moving to another seat and going around and around and around. That's what he means, that he operates our life based on our karmas. Our life keep moving like a merry-go-around. In other words, cycle of birth and death. But he says God resides within all being. He sits in our heart. He guides us. In chapter 10, he also mentioned that how this life goes around. He said that Buddhi Yogam, when you are living in love and compassion, then I give you that Buddhi, where you can experience me. You can feel that I reside in your heart. Also, in chapter 15, we study that he resides in everybody's heart. So in many verses, he has previously mentioned that I reside in your heart. Hriday Srishti. And I guide you. He also mentions here the Maya part. That this is my Maya. What is Maya made of? This material world, whatever we see, it's made of his energy. This is the God's energy, which we learned previously also. But he guides us with his divine power, that what to do and what not to do, and how to go beyond this Maya. So in other words, he is sitting in our heart. Though we are going from one life to another life, he is guiding us how to go beyond this body and experience ultimate freedom from miseries and experience that Anandam, freedom. So how he guides us to get off this merry-go-around cycle of birth and death, because we are on merry-go-around, we are in this Maya, and how to get off of this. And he said, Tamev Sharanam Gach Sarvbhaven Bharat Tattva Prasadat Param Shanti Sthanam Praptasti Shastvatam. O Arjuna, wholeheartedly surrender unto me with your thoughts, speech, and action, with love and devotion. By his grace only you will attain supreme peace and eternal abode, which is Paramdham. In other words, by surrendering, his grace will pour on us. So, full surrender with our speech, with our thoughts, we get his grace. And then we get the supreme peace and eternal abode. Here you can see getting off of Maya. This is the Maya part you can see here. There are two ways. Here is just the Maya. You can see how the one body is moving from one body to another body, just cycle of birth and death. Here, there are two paths. One is the Maya, another one is on the path of divinity, which includes Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And why he is describing that way? The question comes, and we have discussed previously, that he has given us the free will. We have a free will. We are made with gunas. But gunas are tamasic, rajasic, sattvic. Sattvic is the divine Shakti, filled with the divine Shakti, where the rajasic and tamasic are filled with the worldly Maya. So we have a will, free will to operate under the rajasic and tamasic behavior, or we can behave under the divine Shakti, which he is directing us. He says, I sit in your heart. The problem is with that, with the divine free will, we, instead of listening to his voice, his guidance, we are influenced with Maya. I-ness and minus, mera, 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 mine, mine, mine. And we do not listen to him. And then we do a lot of actions which do not take us to the supreme abode, but it keeps moving us on this merry-go-round over and over and over. But he says, I have only one purpose for you. I have given you this body, brought you back to this world with its human body to listen to me and perform your action according to my guidance. Then you will attain supreme peace and eternal abode. That's where they say free will. We have a free will. Animals don't have a free will. They just go from one cycle to another cycle to just pay the price of their karmas. But we have it right now in this life, free will. And that free will, rather than wasting our time engaged in this Maya, though we have to live in this nature, we have to take care of the body, we have to take care of our surroundings, environment, our family situations, our physical situations, all that we have to do that. However, he says, surrender to me. In other words, whatever you do, instead of thinking I am the doer, experience that I am in your heart and I am the one, the director of your life. I am directing and I am the doer here. I am the guiding you. Once you follow that path of surrendering, everything is Vasudev Sarvam Iti, and I'm doing everything according to his guidance, according to his not only guidance, but to serving the mother nature, Prakriti, his Maya, which is another form of his energy. Because he has the only one purpose for us. He encourages us. He accepts even if we make the mistakes, good, bad, whatever. He still guides us. So in other words, it's all his Leela. And we should just observe it, follow it, play our role in his Prakriti, in his Leela, because all is planned by him. And whatever happens in our life, it is all for our self-improvement. He's very patient with us. He gives us a lot of time. So he gives us a chance to take all the resentment from our heart, all the complaints, all the judgments, and purify our heart. Once we purify, we can experience his presence because we transform like Arjuna. He could not see that what Lord Krishna was telling him. He could not, he was depressed. And then after listening to him, his heart became pure. He understood what was his duty. He was transformed. Though he surrendered to him previously, but he finally surrendered him unconditionally and realized that his duty is to perform his dharma, protect the society. So in summary, what does God do? God help us to attain the purpose of our life, giving us the free will and guiding us not to use this free will to fulfill our ego, our I-ness, our minus, our just spending all that time in this material world, because He has designed our life to attain the purpose of our life based upon our karmas. He created us. So I see God as He is my eternal judge. Based on my karmas, based on His justice system, He guides me. He gives me the buddhi. He gives me the wisdom. Buddhi yoga. Like Arjuna. Because He has only one goal for us, to know our true nature and guides us to how we purify our heart so we can experience His presence in our heart. Heart does not mean just the physical heart, but our conscious heart, our psychic heart. Although we always refer to our physical heart. But that's also a part is true, because that's where our heart chakra is, and heart chakra is the divine chakra. Heart chakra means the seat of love, and that's another name of God. So physically, we can also say that, because it is situated right in the middle of the body, which is also called as, we practice it through bhakti yoga. And as I mentioned before, in Gita Ashram, the bhakti yoga, chapter 12 is 24 hours is going on, and every activity, every action we do, every day, Guruji said, recite chapter 12, because that's the teaches us how to purify our heart by Advaita Sarva Bhutanams. Ishwaras. Here he says Ishvara is sitting in our heart. Here he says how you can experience it by removing all this negativity from our heart. Karuna, Santushta, Anipeksha, Suchir Dakshi, Udasino Gatvata, Sarva Ramba Parityagi, Yomad Bhakta Samepriya. So he gives us all kind of tips, and actually like a little goodies, like we give little goodies to kids, and get the work done, when they were little. Similarly, we are a little children for him. So he gives us that, he bribes us, he motivates us. He says, you become my beloved, very beloved, once you practice this. So this is where he's giving us all the tips we transform. And what we get in return, Param Shanti, Chit Ananda. And I wanted to share here that there was one story told by Guruji. Very first time he came to our home, it was our son's Amit's Janev ceremony. He came to celebrate, and Joshiji was there as well. He came from Chicago with him. And he emphasized that how God is like our parents, how He guides us, because our parents are the one who created us, they brought us to this world. So God is just like our parents. They created us, but how they guide us. They say when we start growing, initially, whatever we do, they accept it. We fall, we cry, we fight, whatever, because we are very young. But when we come to the teenager age, hormones level takes over, and it's the puberty time, and a lot of emotions are there, and our mental status becomes influenced by physical status, and our behavior, and emotionally we are not very strong, we don't listen properly. And so then Guruji said, at that time parents start getting angry and they scold the children. Don't mean that they do not love them, but they guide them. And sometimes they have to scold them. If they don't listen, then in Hindi he said, unko thappad bhi marte hain. Not only that, they slap them on their face. And still they don't listen. Then they kind of threat them that get out of my house, get out of my room, get out of my place. Though they don't mean it, but that's what they kind of raising their voice. And actually, if they really misbehave, they finally have to get them, kick them out of the house. And I have some examples here where parents literally had to get children out of the house because they start abusing their parents physically. So sometimes that happens. So in other words, parents have to do, God does the same thing to us, whatever parents have to do. He gives us the first indication, maybe it's through some physical problem, some other problem, something, he just kind of reminds us that I am the one who is doer. He tries to give us start believing more in him by giving little bit difficult time. But if we don't listen to him, he continues give us more and more difficult times based on our karmas. Not that he gives us a bad time. He does not give the bad time, but our karmas are the one who bring the bad time, but he brings those karmas in front of us to teach us a lesson. And here finally Guruji said, he guide us, direct us. If we do not listen to his message, then he may kill us. But being just like Kansa was killed by Lord Krishna. Ravan was killed by Rama. Bhagwan Ram killed Rama. We all know those stories. So sometimes it gets to that level. But being killed by him is not a regular death. But Guruji said, don't worry about it, even though he kills you, but you get liberated through his hands. So there is other stories about Kansa and Ravana, that why it happened to them, etc. We will not go into that details right now, but the message here is very clear that we must listen to supreme power. If we do not listen, he said that if you do not listen in chapter 57, in this chapter 18, that if you do not listen, then consider your sarvanash. You will be destroyed, just like Ravana and Kansa and many others. So the listening to his voice is important. And in order to listen to his voice, our heart has to be pure because he's there. And so we have to remove our ego, our possessiveness. And then we can work according to his will. Though we have a free will, but that free will becomes his will. And once we consider that free will is his will, not my free will to live in, propagate my ego and my possessions and name and fame, then I can attain the purpose of life. So the choice is ours. We follow his advice and reach to moksha, or not listening to him and continue to suffer miseries, birth and death. So again, in summary here, how to practice it. Number one, just watch his Leela. Watch God's play, his Leela. Because he's the one who is designer, who is the creator, who guides us. And he finally graces us, bless us with moksha, like Ravan and Kansas also. So we have to, bottom line here is, we have to listen, 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 and observe just like a sakshi. Become the sakshi here. Open our eyes, ears, heart. He does not come just in the form of bansuri bajate hue, as I said before. He comes in the many different ways to us. Sometimes our friends, our spouses, our Even the internet now with the good messages come to us to teach us the lesson. So we should pay attention to those. So in other words, we should open our mind, our eyes, our ears. Everything should be tailored toward receiving his message. And once we do that, then we can experience him. I put it here in summary that from miseries, based on our karmas, based on our gunas, and then previously we learned that God is not just the form, but it is within us, that non-duality, that Atma, the one we breathe, which we, this yantra, this body yantra, which he says this is a yantra, this yantra is operated with that Atma. That Atma is the fraction of Paramatma, that Paramatma is guiding us. And once we listen to him, surrender him, then that oneness from that yukti comes, which means we experience ultimate freedom, happiness, Paramdham, supreme abode, liberation. We all reach there. In other words, we get off from that merry-go-around. We are not on that merry-go-around of birth and death cycle, but we get off. And the formula here is listen his voice by purifying our heart. The more we purify, the more we observe, more we listen, more we hear his voice. And then surrender. And then once we do this, we should practice from morning to evening by starting our day in that trend, to set our trend of the day. So then our whole day we are aligned. We are living in his consciousness every moment, every churn, every karn. And we will see him in chan and kan. But we have to make sure that we take care of our body, our breathing, our breath, energy, pranayam is pure. So we need to purify those. And then prayers, meditation, contemplations. And then at the end of the day, evaluate ourselves. How did I do it? What needs to be improved? And then thank God for taking us to the blissful journey. And then it says, Sarv Dharman Paritajyam, Mamekam Sharanam Braj, Aham Tvam Sarpapebhyo, Mokshashyami Mashuchi. So surrender, unconditional surrender. And then it comes our homework. What are we going to practice this week? Again, be aware, live in the awareness, and ask ourselves, do I have my supreme goal of my life, self-realization? Do I live in God's consciousness, his awareness, every moment, every kan, every chan? Do I see him everywhere? Do I realize his presence in my heart? How do I use my free will? Do I use my free will for living in this nature, just propagating my Raisic and Tamasic nature, my I-ness or minus, my name and fame? Or I'm using this free will toward divinity, practicing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita? Am I living righteously? Do I listen to his voice when he tells me? Do I act upon it? And then, am I the doer or the God is the doer? He is the doer, but many times we forget. Do I unconditionally surrender to him, his will? Do I do my spiritual practices? So again, I put it here. Choice is ours. whether we live in misery or get his blessing to ultimate his abode, Paramdham, moksha, and experience Chit Ananda. So continue. Here I again put it. This is the personal free will. And here, and you see the results. Everything is miseries, miseries. But his going according to his will is the Paramdham. It takes us to Paramdham. So arise, awake, stop not until goal is reached, as Vivekananda said. So our sankalpa is, I experience divinity within. I see mystic power of Supreme Leela. So continuously practice, 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 and teaching, learn the teaching and follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagwan cautions us. He says, don't worry, have a patience, because only 1 in thousands know the purpose of their life. And we are so fortunate that we remind ourselves every week that what is the purpose of our life, at least in this session. And then, of course, we do it other rest of the week. But this is again another reminder to us. So have a patience. Don't pound yourself. Have a patience, because this is not a quick fix. It is just like a seeding, putting the seed in the ground and then waiting the seed to sprout, bear the flowers and the fruits. And similarly, when we have this sankalpa, learning Bhagavad Gita, eventually, little by little, as we can feel it, we can see it, we can experience it more and more, eternal happiness, health, and peaceful, and the blessing of supreme power, that who am I? I am nobody but Chit Ananda. So thank you very much for joining how to experience the guidance of supreme power within and attaining the freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy, and peaceful life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.